Welcome back to the Close of Play podcast.
This is it. This is Close of Play. I'm Ollie.
And I'm Craig.
We're your hosts. Enjoy this episode. Make sure you
like and subscribe.
See you soon.
Enjoy. Just let the ear just seek out of the chair.
Welcome back. Close of Play. Has everyone deflated their seating?
I think everyone's deflated and ready to go. Yeah, it is like sitting on an airbag.
I need to put that on the review actually on Amazon to say very comfy, looks great, 10-second deflation required.
Yeah, if using for a podcast.
Yeah.
It was funny because I was listening back to our episode with Zoe.
Yeah.
And there were scenes where you could hear us adjusting on the sofa. And because we weren't using these very nice mics, even though they were in place, they weren't being utilised. Right. You could hear that in between some scenes. So not ideal.
No, but everyone knows now. If everyone like any silent, like very soft whoopee cushion effect, it's just readjusting.
It's not intentional.
It's not flatulence, it's the sofa.
We got a guest.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's introduce our guest.
Gary.
Yeah.
Hi, mate.
Hi, both. Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So you obviously know Gary.
I know Gary.
I don't.
This is Gary. Gary from Source.
Let's have it. Let's get you to introduce yourself.
Yeah. So Gary from Source, formerly known as Print Source.
Nice.
Had a rebrand and a change of name last year. Sign making, printing, vehicle graphics, anything bigger than A2 that's printed, we're
awesome.
Yeah, able to help with.
Are you local, Gary?
Caerphilly based.
Okay.
But we work all across the UK. So
do stuff all over the place, really. So I've got some really cool clients as well, really, haven't you, as far as signage and display goes?
Yeah.
Is there any that you can disclose? Any name drops?
Any big? Is your biggest client? No, you got Tiny Rebel. They're massive.
Tiny Rebel are our coolest client, I guess.
Yeah.
We like to work with those guys as much as possible.
So all the signage that I see when I go into the brewery,
yeah,
when I'm out and about,
the
inside,
what are they called? Styles?
Yeah, the grain silos.
Oh,
with the big logo.
So we've done those. That was the first job that got us in with Tiny Rebel, actually, because Brad put a post on Facebook saying, does anybody know anybody who'd be able to brand these up for us? And I got tagged in that.
That's just mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's their 10-year anniversary as well this year.
11th.
So 11th.
11.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
we should definitely know that.
We should know that. Yeah.
There might be a small clue as to one of our up and coming guests there. But
yeah. So that was a really kind of early days.
Yeah.
Someone tagged you on Facebook and now it's one of your biggest clients. Like,
yeah.
That's awesome, isn't it?
I guess Admiral, Cardiff Uni of South Wales. I think Anira and Bevan Health Board are our biggest client. Not the most sort of attractive work as Tiny Rebel, but
in size and scale,
exactly,
it's huge.
Yeah. So they've got 8 main hospital sites, I think, and 70 smaller locations.
So you focus on the bigger clientele, would you say? Would you service a lot of smaller businesses as well?
You do quite a bit, really. Like,
yeah, we're still we're in that middle ground, trying to get out of the competing on price, competing on small jobs into the bigger work. But we do still, take on some of the smaller stuff as well.
Just keep the bills. It's like almost easy for you when you're going after the bigger stuff, isn't it? But you prefer to do like the cool and.
It is, but like this year now, my focus is trying to get away from that because I find the smaller stuff it's more time consuming. It's more sort of problematic.
It's the same for me as well. From a photography point of view or videography point of view, the small stuff is great because you never turn down the small stuff that pays the bills.
Yeah.
But the bits that I really enjoy is the bigger commercial jobs where I can put a brief together, I can put some planning together, I can put days of time into it, and then I'm not really worrying about the budget so much.
Yeah.
Because I'm not working to a smaller price figure.
Yeah.
I feel like when you have a big job in as well, like you just breathe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not even you know the money's there, and you can work on it. You can stop working on it. You can work on something else in between while you're waiting on material.
It's really strange that somebody could be spending a huge sum, I don't know, 50 grand, say.
Yeah.
But they trust you. They leave you to it. If somebody's spending 500 quid, they're on you.
Just checking where that mock-up is, like just checking what time the boys are going to be there. It's like we can only spend 2 hours on the design because that's what you're paying for. Whereas the bigger clients, it's almost we'll do the design, and then if they don't like it, be like, no worries, we can do the extra bit, but this is what it's going to cost.
Do you think that's the difference of a small business mindset where you've got one person juggling all these different roles versus somebody who actually looks after a particular role and then actually they understand that they've got other responsibilities? You're not the only primary factor they need to be chasing. They're not 100% reliant on this where they put money into it in terms of an investment.
Yeah, I think it's that. But you, how many staff have you? You got a few staff now, haven't you? So you've almost got like your account managers, you've got your production, you've got your finance and accounts. Does that make your life easier?
It should do. Yeah, I found it difficult to sort of get out of the day-to-day running of stuff, though. You know, have always been the sort of go-to person if somebody's got a
constant
question.
oversight.
Yeah, so I'm working on that now. We've promoted a member of staff to be sort of operations director. We had a meeting with everyone and said, right, Dave is your go-to person.
Yeah.
There's an issue, speak to Dave. If Dave can't deal with it, Dave will come and speak to me and my business partner.
So you're in this like transitional period at the moment?
Yeah, we are, yeah.
How does that feel? Because it's your baby that you're kind of giving the reins to somebody else, right?
Yeah, there's that. And
is it more kind of you don't want to, you want your time to grow your business and be chasing the work you want rather than, what can you send me the photos from the site visit for so-and-so? Whereas kind of now there's almost your operations director, head of production, and then you've almost got you and Dave, like company directors, actually like running and building the company. Like all your staff below Dave report to Dave,
exactly,
rather than everyone blowing your phone up, and it allows you to kind of, well, in their best interest, like spend your time wisely.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, so I've been this year. I was only a few weeks into the year, but I've been working on things that I want to work on, things that I think are going to benefit the business rather than just the day-to-day firefighting that comes with being a business owner. So
what's forced the change, do you think? Do you think it's almost that 2 weeks at Christmas where you just think about everything and you're not doing any work and you just think, what can we do better? What do we want to be doing? It almost...
I think last year was difficult for us. We made a couple of duff recruitment decisions, I think, and...
But that's just based on what you had in front of you, as in like you'd win work and you'd need to get more people in to fulfill it, or just the people that you were recruiting they said they could do it, but actually it turns out they couldn't do what they said.
Yeah, a bit of both, really.
Yeah.
It's funny, every guest we've had on so far, and every time where we speak in our networking event, the Dragons event that we go to on a Wednesday, recruitment is the killer topic.
Yeah.
It's getting the right people in the right place, but actually... people are going for these roles and their expectations as an employee are through the roof. I'm not even going to mention COVID, but it does seem to become on the back of COVID.
Yeah.
People want remote working.
Yeah.
They want more pay, less hours.
Everyone wants more money. And
it's changed everything, isn't it? It's just, I think it's a lot more acceptable now to move on in a job. I think in the past, maybe there was a bit of pride about holding down a job for a certain length of time. But
the norm is to have 3 or 4 careers as standard in your life, unless it's your own business. Do you know what I mean?
If you looked at somebody's CV and they had more than about 5 different job roles on,
it was a bad thing.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like I remember my dad being my primary example. He would be showing me certificates where he would be like 100% attendance and 10 years in a row.
Yeah.
And he'd have loads of these, like portfolios of these, and he was so proud of them.
Yeah.
And you don't get that anymore.
No. My dad was a funny one, and like I'm kind of just like, I'm his son, do you know what I mean? So like his first business, he was like a travel agent, and I remember he was just like a local travel agent, but somehow ended up with this deal in Spain, and it was for a hotel, and it was going to be like £1 million. Obviously, it fell through. But like travel estate agent, then he had a restaurant, then he had a wine bar, then he did like upholstery, do you know what I mean? And just like trying so many different things. But like actually on the back of that, it's almost just, I don't know, I think people just get too comfortable, and like you speak to people and it's like, don't really enjoy what I do, and like change it then. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's where the that's where the problem comes from though, is online now when we scroll through social media, it's like if you don't enjoy your job, then just jack it in and do something else.
Yeah, not enjoying your hobby. Yeah, it's like an advert that you see like,
and it's everywhere. And I actually think it's really poisonous.
It is.
Yeah. Don't enjoy your 9 to 5. Like, come and trade Forex with me, or do you know what I mean? I'm sat in a Lamborghini. It's almost like it forces you to think, am I enjoying it? But then people don't want to work. Ultimately, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, if their job's difficult, for a day or something, they've had a bad day, then
they walk out
on the head and they're gone and they're on to the next one, and they know that there's X number of jobs out there that they can walk into tomorrow,
Yeah.
It's pushing wages way up, staff retention. You've got to pay a lot more to keep staff, pay a lot more to hire.
Do you feel like when it gets to the point that you have with the number of staff you've got, it's almost in the back of your head, you're thinking, oh, fucking, if so-and-so wants to go, like, we're gonna have to offer them more money. Do you know what I mean? It's they've almost got it's weird. It's like it's your business, but
juggling
your staff have got the trump card.
Yeah,
and actually, it's like you need them more than they need you. But actually,
when I was at Tesco head office, there was a really interesting moment where a manager said to me, "If you want serious progression, you're better off leaving the company, progressing elsewhere, and then coming back." And then at that point, then I was like, I was there for eight years. Which was a long time.
It could have told me that year one.
And and then I've just been given this really big insight by this person who's very high up within the company that actually I've got the potential, but for me to progress through the ranks as quick as I want to, leave and come back.
That's mad, isn't
And then
it?
when then you go home and you scroll through your phone and you see all these things on social saying quit and do something that you enjoy, which I ended up doing in the end. And don't get me wrong, it was a roller coaster, but it's now paying off. But I've never worked so hard. I've never had so many stresses.
Yeah.
So it's not all.
You manage it all, don't you?
Yeah.
So as far as you then, Gary, what's your story? Like, how did you end up where you did?
Where did you get to? Yeah.
What was your first ever business?
I guess I was a bit of ahead of my time in a way because I used to chop and change my job all the time.
You've done all this. What you're seeing now, you're like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, I reckon I had about 12 jobs within sort of 3-year period. From the age of 18, I guess, when I left school.
Yeah.
To do with printing or just a mass mix?
Everything, yeah. So I worked in Ford Fawn for a couple of months in their finance department, House of Fraser in finance department. That was quite fun. So I was cashing up all the tills, banking all the money, and reconciling stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did the same in Debenhams. Where else have I worked?
It's mentioned in all there's a link there. All the companies that Gary worked at don't exist anymore, and he was in charge of the money.
Yeah.
So not saying anything.
I don't do the finances in Source now. So yeah. I worked in a car wash, washing cars with a mate of mine. We had a sort of a franchise, ARC car washes.
Okay.
So we ran that for a while.
Like the hand car wash?
The machine car wash.
Oh, yeah,
with
I
a
get
little
you,
bit of hand washing before it goes in. But ended up working in the job centre. So it was a great place to work. Government department, so nobody really did a lot.
Very challenging, I bet, though. Especially if you were like people.
Yeah.
Or was this what year? What year was this? I'm guessing it was actually not as bad as the last 5-10 years, kind of thing.
No, I was 20, so it was 18 years ago.
Okay.
So
walking around with a coffee, being like, "What's happening?"
it was a
chilled out
number. Dartboard, extended breaks and stuff, and flexi time.
Anyone who works in the job centre, no, you missed out. There used to be a dartboard.
Yeah, there was a window when your job was enjoyable.
It was, yeah. So working there, the one thing about that place, everybody there was looking for another job.
No, it was like a holding pen.
It was a great place. Every morning, the first thing you do is have a look at what new jobs had been posted.
Yeah.
Go, have a look at this one, and
ironically, like I think now, it almost is. It's always been that way. As in, like any good job, you look at like the NHS or whatever, or just any job in general. Once it goes online. If anyone wants it internally, they've already accounted for it, but
it's already gone.
But they almost have to put it publicly to justify it.
Yeah.
And then they'll do a few interviews as a formality. But if they've got someone good, do you know what I mean? I feel like
already been promised.
It's always been that way. Yeah. So you saw some cool jobs in the job centre then?
Yeah. So I worked there. One day, took a phone call from a guy who wanted to place an advert for a trainee estimator in his sign company in Cardiff. So. Well, that sounds interesting. Taking the spec down off him and just got interested in it. And while I was on the call to him, I said, "Would it be all right if I applied for this job?" He said, "Yeah."
Just straight there.
He said, "Come down and see me."
That's a wicked story.
Yeah. I didn't actually post that job for the job centre, so I didn't have any competition.
Your boss was like, "Anything on him today?" You were like, throwing darts. Nah, nothing today.
I'm leaving next week though.
Yeah, here's my notice.
So I went down to see him, got the job, started there.
Nice. Are they still going, just out of interest?
They sold the business, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago now.
Oh, okay.
Who was it, can I ask?
Semaphore.
Oh, it wasn't right. Okay.
So, I think now they say they've been established for about 35 years.
But they're part of a bigger group kind of thing.
Yeah, bigger, different.
Yeah, but the timing on that was just, impeccable, as in no worries. And what, you went down that week?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but as you were saying about sort of chopping and changing, I went there and I hated it. The boss was an arse, to be
Really?
fair.
So like the job sounded good, but then the reality was it was probably easier working at the job centre.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the first time that I'd ever been involved in a small private business.
Okay.
Before that, I was sort of
Government
big
and
retail or government, that type of stuff.
And it's such a shock, right?
Oh, completely. And
Because I did something similar when I went from Tesco, project manager for Tesco, then took that role, took a pay cut, but to do more responsibility for a small IT company. And I remember day one being sat around the boardroom table, and like there was someone in the room crying, and there was another
What
person.
time was this? What are people crying for? What time is this? Is it like 8 o'clock? Someone just turns up crying?
This was literally my first day on the job.
Close of play at
sat around the
Tesco.
boardroom table, someone in tears, and there was a guy, the owner of the business. I'm not going to say who it was, but the owner of the business was basically saying like, if you don't meet targets this month, no one's getting paid. And I was thinking, I've come from Tesco to this place, like this big company to this place, and now they're basically telling me on my first day that there's a potential that people won't get paid. I was thinking, what the fuck have I done?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I completely get the shock of going from big commercial where you're just completely relaxed and you can spend time throwing darts at the dartboard to you being milked for every minute you're worth.
Did it just...
So that happened. And I was in a room about as big as this with one of the business directors, and I think there was 3 estimators and an estimating manager whose role was basically redundant because the director was sat in the same room anyway. But I worked there for about 3 months, hated it. My best mate was like, come back to the car wash. So I did, knocked it on the head, went back to the car wash. My manager then, who was in that small room with me, rang me up 4 or 5 months later and said, listen, since you've left, we've had 2 other people come in. Neither of them have been anything near what you were. Please, will you come back? We need you here, sort of thing.
So you made an impression then?
Yeah.
Considering you'd never, it's almost, he was making out as though you'd come in experienced kind of thing. But
what is it you think that you did? You just showed a lot of interest maybe?
I think so.
You understood finance as a baseline as well, as in like figures.
Potentially.
As in like if he said, look, this is costing us 50 quid, you need to sell it for 75.
Yeah, and just interest, I guess, and customer service, you know.
Okay.
Everyone you spoke to was a bit, even though it was signage or whatever, it's a bit different, and they give you a bit of kind of...
There's a lesson there though, in the roles that you did. You mentioned retail and then to the job centre, that actually a lot of people would just use that as a stopgap. But there's so much interpersonal skills and things you can learn in those roles, which will put you tenfold up against anyone else applying for a job. Especially if you have the opportunity to go for an interview.
A couple of other jobs I had in that early stage. I worked in the AA in their sort of finance department, mainly chasing people that hadn't paid or all that sort of stuff. So that taught me
really
a lot.
sensitive conversations.
Yeah, people are a bit, unhappy, so they're not so nice conversations. I then went to work for GE Capital Bank, chasing people that hadn't paid their store card bills.
Okay, yeah.
That was another world.
I can imagine.
The AA was so sort of on top of their game with staff training. There was like an 8-week training period before you're allowed anywhere near a phone.
Right.
GE Capital, first day on the phone.
They're like, here's Sandra's number, she owes us 300 quid.
It was almost like, like I think I was about 19 or something when I was working there. Went to GE Capital from the AA, sat down, unpacked my sandwiches, clip on tie, ready to go. And there were all these like, not so nice people swearing at customers. And I nearly fell off the chair. I was like, what's going on here?
Customer service out the window.
Swore, and it was like, you're unhappy with somebody, they were just cutting them off and stuff. And the customer service and the training there was just a joke. But it's good to see the bad.
Yeah, such different worlds though, isn't it?
Yeah. But then, so going back to signage, went back to work for that company. The manager was like, listen, we'll pay you more.
Did you feel like you walked in the second time? Did you walk in the room being like, they want me?
Yeah.
So, I want this. Did you set your kind of...
And I think what happened in that period as well, that they realised that the director being sat in the room with the other staff wasn't a good thing.
Okay.
When I went back, he'd gone upstairs,
And everyone was a bit more productive.
Yeah, and just a bit more relaxed, and it was just a nicer atmosphere to work. So, I worked there for quite a while. Something else happened during my employment there, in that I was visiting a customer who wanted some signs an estate agency called Thomas George Estate Agents.
Okay.
And while I was there, I was speaking to the guy, Thomas George, and he was like, "Oh, how's it going?" Blah, blah, blah. And I built a nice rapport with the guy, and he was like, "Do you want to come and work for me? Do you want to sell houses rather than signs?" And I was like, "Yeah, potentially." So he made me an offer, went back, told my boss that I'm going to sell houses. They then give me a pay rise to stay.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So stayed there for a couple more years.
That's incredible, the value you showed so early.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or, like,
I think some of that, I haven't touched
it's
on
down.
it. But
It's down to you, though.
Yeah, having kids at a young age. I was 19 when my daughter was born. Bought a house at 19. I think I moved then into my second property when I was about 21, 22.
You grew up very fast.
You're almost
Yeah, I
like
did.
ahead
I had-
of everyone else your age. So like not even trying from a business point of view. It's like
Yeah.
Gary's got his shit together kind of thing.
Yeah, at 21, I guess, I had a car on finance. I had my own house. We were going on a 2-week holiday to Tenerife or something. I was trying to be the stereotypical family man, you know, and trying to provide. So
Which you were doing, which you did,
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It did push me a lot because I didn't want people to sort of look down their nose at me about
Yeah.
I
being a
did.
young
I had
parent.
the same journey. So
Yeah.
I was 21 when I had my daughter. Overnight, went from being someone who was going out lots to not going out at all, to literally really focusing on work and progressing very quickly. I think the lesson that I learned from that, what I did wrong, was I threw myself into work thinking I had to be the provider, I had to be the family man. Same as yourself, had the nice car on finance, had the house, got the family home sorted, holidays, which was nice, small trips away. But my time with my daughter wasn't as much as I'd like to. And I look back now and I regret that.
Yeah, I was the same. Like when Leo was like young, I don't know maybe it's just like a father thing. Like I was in bloody London like 4 days a week, like earning as much money as I could.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And we lived in Wales at the time. It was almost like insane, but I was getting paid to go to London and I was earning so much money and I thought that was the right thing to do. And then you look back now and kind of where you are, like the mindset's so much different. But I think a lot of it's age.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like being like 30 now to be, when you look back in like your 20s, it's like that's such a mad stage of your life.
Yeah.
And you almost just like do what you think's right at the time. And then no one makes any wrong decisions, but you look back now and you think, oh, I wish I didn't do that. Do you know what I mean? Not regrets, but like you can enjoy things so much more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? You can't, beat yourself. Up over those.
You can't say, I didn't need to go and earn money because, like you said, everyone's earning money because you've got a house, you've got a bills, you've got a mortgage.
On the flip side of that, though, if the three of us didn't suck up those years and do the things we did, would the three of us now be sat in the room?
Probably
Definitely
not. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely not. And I did miss out on some things with my daughter when she was young, but she's now in.
You're all in a
uni.
better place.
Yeah,
But she's older, so you can do even more stuff now. In a way,
She's 19. She's just started a law degree in Swansea. She's told me many times, that she's proud of me and she looks up to me for what I've sort of achieved and stuff. So it makes me feel like it was worth it.
Yeah, 100%. And now, if anything, it's like you've got your own successful company, and actually, like you can go and do something with her.
Yeah.
Whereas it's all right saying, "Oh, we were all throwing ourselves into work." Like, could we have all done something with our kids? That us being so young, those being so young.
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
And if you did, that meant sacrificing your income that week almost. So you would never have even got to that decision.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I like that your daughter now has come back and said those things, because obviously that validates those decisions that you made.
Yeah,
For me, my daughter's 8 at the moment,
Right.
so we don't really have those conversations.
No.
It's can we get this? Can we do that?
Yeah.
She's she's not spoiled. She's just
Yeah, kids. That's
She's
a
just 8.
conversation in itself, isn't it? So
it is. Yeah.
the best of everything you do is kind of for them. But if you can achieve the balance, we love talking about balance. Then I think everything kind of gets put in perspective.
Yeah.
But you've got to do the 20 to 30 years. Do you know what I mean? You've got to do that gap to sit here and say you're successful.
Yeah.
Because people will be listening and they'll, I don't have that balance. And it's like, you can't just achieve balance, because you need to be not even lucky enough. You need to work hard enough to be able to be.
you've got to put the work in first.
I'm not working Friday or Monday. I'm going taking the kids skiing. Do you know what I mean?
I think people beat themselves up over work-life balance. I think it's a bit of a sort of a myth, or an unachievable goal. This work-life balance sort of thing. I think, you have to nail it hard for a couple of years or for a decade, you know.
And that takes sacrifices.
But then overall, you know, your life is
the whole thing's
the
whole thing's a balance.
And even on a sort of a weekly, yearly basis, you have to put a couple of hard days in, you know, in a week. And the rest of the week it should be a bit easier then, potentially, and the same in a month. I don't think you can nail work-life balance on a daily basis.
Your body needs to work. Like when you think like mentally, physically, when people retire, I see so many people deteriorate in terms of health
because they're not doing anything.
And then you see these programs where you see these like 90 or 100-year-olds. They're going to the gym, they're running marathons, they're still driving cars. They're the ones who are still active and doing something.
Because their brain's working, their body's working.
It's such a common thing for people to keel over within a year or two of retiring.
Because you just stop.
Just take the foot off the gas.
Taking the purpose out of your life almost.
Absolutely. You've got no purpose, no direction.
Yeah.
I was speaking to Yakko about this recently.
Yeah.
Who runs Morello.
Yeah, have you heard of Morello? So if you ever have a spare morning, just go and see what they do. But essentially, like he's it's not even a tagline. He's transforming people's lives. So he does a lot of like rehab with people who've had strokes and, well, you know better than me because you've actually been down there and seen it.
Any sort of spinal injury, neurological disorder, they do rehabilitation for. But the stat that he showed me was if you're not doing like 1,500 steps a day, then your body physically and mentally deteriorates. So when the NHS basically write off a patient, we're completely going on a tangent now, but when the NHS write off a patient, they basically say you're now bedbound. They're regressing a patient as opposed to helping them. So my point being is you need to keep busy. You need to have that focus. When we talk about balance, is there really a balance?
You're not missing birthdays or missing your family. It's like you're sacrificing your own health. So by being busy in work, actually, like you're benefiting everyone.
There are benefits to it. Absolutely.
You're going to be around for longer. And like this week, I think I worked in like near like a 20-hour day or something one day this week. And it's just like, it kills you. You lose the following half of the next day. But then actually, it's not every week now. Do you know what I mean? And like some people have to do that. They're doing that every day because they're in this, like we're still young. We're only 4 years old, but like people are putting that amount of hours in every day and burning themselves to the ground. And like I did that one day this week. Yeah. And like that's manageable. No,
you're absolutely right. It's not about burning yourself out, but there are occasions where you need to work through the night, where you need to meet a deadline, and just saying, actually, it's not well-being for me to not go to sleep right now.
Yeah.
You need to sometimes sacrifice those moments just to get shit done.
Yeah, 100%. So
with the staffing issue, it feels like now people are having one of those days, one of those hard days that we all have to have, and they're just sort of. And
it's
off then, aren't they?
And knowing I've been through, I wouldn't say I've had like mental health issues myself, but I've had days, as we all have. It's human to have the days where you think, you know what, today's not my day. But the worst thing you could do is go back to bed because you'll just feel worse for it after.
And like you were saying, like in a work environment, if you're having that day, but you've got to go to work, and like I feel like if like one of your staff are having that day, if they actually talk to you, you'd be like, just go home, mate. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Don't be in work and make it worse, but don't, like you said, don't go home. Like go and get a coffee and go for a walk and like just clear your head. Yeah. Because if you're in work and you're feeling like that and your boss doesn't care and you feel like you can't talk to anyone. And like you said, that's the reason why people have left their jobs because they can't talk to their boss.
I always say like, your work is like you've got your own family in work. You've got your work family, your home family.
Yeah.
Because in some instances, you spend so much time in work, especially if you're not someone who's a remote worker, that you spend more time with those people than the people in your household.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the sort of really nice parts about employing staff, I think, is seeing people's journeys and, you know, their progression through life. It makes me feel really proud seeing what staff.
If you've got someone that you almost give them a chance, and I know you got a couple of guys, haven't you? I think almost so didn't have the experience or whatever.
Dave's our operations director now. That's his new title. But he started with us when he was 18, and he was a bit of a rogue, to be honest. He still is a level rogue, but you know, just seeing what he's done with his life. And
but what a moment for him when you bring him in the office and being like, "You're the guy, Dave. You're the guy." Do you know what I mean? Like, and it makes you feel like warm inside. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, he's worked for it. Oh, yeah. But you're in a position where you can reward him. Yeah. But then that's going to get tenfold back to the business. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's like not king of the castle, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, everyone comes to me now, so I'm automatically going to step my game up. The extra money you're paying me because of that, I'm going to come across to that. I'm going to spend more time with your key accounts, and all of a sudden, Dave's paying for himself on the bigger wage. Do you know what I mean? It's almost because you look after your staff.
So do you feel you've got the right combination of staff now? Obviously, you said you've not taken a step back, but you've put those parameters in place where you can focus on business growth.
Yeah, I think so. We're potentially short in a few areas, but all the staff we have got, I think, are good, solid
utilised.
players.
Do you think it's almost like because you've had this kind of rethink and not remodel, but where you want to push, it's almost if you get the contract that you want, that then creates role 1, 2, and 3 to fulfill that.
Yeah.
But then the way you've remodeled it now, it's like you can win this big contract, get the staff, and you can actually focus on the next big contract rather than it consuming you because you've landed something big.
That's been the issue, since we started, is that when we are busy, things just fall apart, because you need to put all your effort into that big project, but then all the sort of day-to-day,
like the customer service, getting back to people, just daily business stuff.
I hate it, and I'm sort of terrible for burying my head in the sand. When I get too much on me, I just I stop answering the phone,
And well, naturally, that could be the next 3 months paid for. But now, by doing what you've done, hopefully, it means that even when you're busy, and I feel like it's so easy to like sit in a room and talk about it, but like in that moment,
it's difficult.
You've really got to be like, hang on a minute, I need to let Dave crack on with that, and I need to get back to Claire, who's called me and left a message, because I'm a nightmare for that. I don't know about you boys, but people leave me voicemails and like I don't look at it all the time. I see it come up, and then when you clear your notifications on the phone and they just go, and then you get another voicemail a couple of weeks later, and then you're listening to them all in the car, and you're like, 20th of December, 2022. Hi, Ollie, just wondering if you can get back to us. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, what a nightmare. But it's my fault. It's my fault because in the time, it's not. I don't think you do bury your head in the sand, but you almost have to deal with what's in front of you.
Yeah. I think the business is going to be better because I'm sort of taking a back step from the sort of coal face as such,
Yeah.
I think customer service is going to improve. I can look at what's happening. We're putting things in place to try and sort of whittle out the sort of the gold from the shit, basically.
Because you get all the inquiries, and it's not that you're better than it. It's just the small job that's £1,000.
Yeah.
Unless it just happens to be very simple. Here's the artwork. Can you print it?
Yeah.
Like if that needs a site visit or if it needs some studio time, like
that's the thing. Yeah.
There's not the money in it. Do you know what I mean? The time it's going to consume.
There's jobs that could be £100 and they can be profitable because they're easy. What the customer wants is quick and simple to do.
So it's not necessarily
provided.
It's not necessarily the figure with you. Then it's kind of what the job entails.
Yeah, and that for us, it normally comes down to the size of the client. If it's a bigger company, they've got their own design department, marketing department. They send us the files in the right format, right size, ready to go.
Job done.
We're pressing print effectively.
Yeah. Whereas someone sends you an email about, hi, just looking for someone to make a sign for my shop. Yeah. Here's a screenshot of something I like.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? Like we've got inquiries probably the same as you, and some of them lead to good things, but the time it takes to actually get to a point where you're like sending an invoice for a deposit. Do you know what I mean?
Is it the same for you guys? I get a bit of a sixth sense with this now, where when a client or if I get a referral, I'll pretty much immediately know.
I'm a nightmare. I'm a nightmare anyway, don't you?
If it's kind of worth a squeeze.
I have this kind of, I'll put a figure together, not to scare them. One, because I feel as though I'm very good at what I do, and it's probably bang on.
Yeah.
But within like an hour, I can be like, it's going to cost you £7,250 plus VAT. And Gary's like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, well, I know roughly, and you can't spend more than an hour on it because for the 10 hours you spent on 10 jobs quoting, you don't get them 10 hours back. And it's not even being rude or obnoxious. Sometimes they need to know quickly, and they need to know quickly whether they've got the money, or I think we talked about it in episode 1, didn't we? It's like sometimes they can find the money, or it's like anything. You can work to any budget, but you need to know the budget. And some people will be like, oh, we don't really have a budget. And they might have 50 grand or 5 grand. Like we quoted for a bespoke exhibition stand for one of our clients, which we do loads of work with. And we touched on a few of our network partners who are kind of exhibition specialists.
Yeah.
They give us a quote, and we kind of put our custom elements to it and put a price to them. And then they come back and they're like, oh, we've only got X amount. And the quote's like 5 times as much. Yeah. And it's like, it's not a problem if you just want to have a trestle table and 2 pop-up banners at your stand. But like this client actually is very big, absolutely massive, a very good client for us. So it's not slagging them off at all. But they'd have one of their designers draw up this stand. We had a spec sheet to cost it from, and it was 5 times more than their budget. So I think even it's not even kind of John who's sending an email with a screenshot. It's kind of on a big scale. You've got these companies who are tasking one of their designers for a project which is happening. They're going to this exhibition, but no one's said like, oh, this is our budget. Do you know what I mean? Because we're quoting off what they've designed. Yeah. So you'd like to think that there's some sort of understanding of costs.
Awareness. Yeah.
And like
in that instance, you're sort of
we like the bad guys.
But your way of giving a guide price is almost doing them a favour. If they'd have come to you at the start and said, Ollie, we've got a floor space of 4 meters by 6 meters. We want X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Roughly, what's that going to cost us?
But the conversations you have off the back of that, like, don't get me wrong, we're not an exhibition company. We do lots of cool elements for other exhibition companies, but we have a lot of knowledge, and this will just blow your mind. So you've all been to exhibitions, yeah? So if you want to hang something above your stand, per hook you need, for regardless of whatever you're hanging, it's about £400 plus VAT per hook. Wow. So... And if you've just got space only and you've got electrics, you need a floor, you need carpet, you need edging. It's probably a couple of grand for your floor. Do you know what I mean? So like before you know it, if you need electric, I think it's £200 per plug. Yeah. And then they charge you £25 to test their own plug, which they've supplied you. Like it's one of them industries where someone's making so much money.
Gold mine.
100%. Yeah. That's why exhibition companies are so successful. Yeah. But it's just, and again, I value my clients and like the money that they spend with us and the relationships, but I'd rather speak to them at the start and be like, regardless of what you want us to do, you need £2.5 grand just to get your floor and electrics.
So what we're working on at the moment is a series of sort of PDF question sheets, online sort of forms. So if we get a new inquiry for vehicle graphics, we'll take the call or the email, thanks very much. We'll send them a link to our website, which is an inquiry form that's sort of hidden behind the scenes of the website with a load of questions that we need to fill them in for them to
Is that almost the stuff that you're physically asking him on the phone or over 10 emails but in one place?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But it's going to help us work out where they are, what their budget is, and if it's a time waster or not.
I have a recommendation for you both with this, because I hear you talking about these barriers, these challenges, and actually you're absolutely right. What it needs at the top level is a platform where you can defer these clients to, where they can almost see the costs and build their own product before they even have that conversation with you. There is a platform, and there's no, I don't get any reimbursement for this. There's no affiliation, but it's by an entrepreneur who I do look up to, is Daniel Priestley. He's written a load of good books, another book recommendation.
Loves a book, Craig.
But it's one platform out there called Scorecard App. Right. And basically it does the kind of the legwork for you. It gives them the product at the end. And then at that point, then it's a conversation to negotiate the price where it needs to be. We're using it for Edison Project now. We'll be releasing it shortly. But it takes away all of that initial headache of going back and forth. It eliminates all of that. Client then see what services we offer, costing roughly. And
it's just like an estimate.
It's just like an
estimate. Like from my point of view, like you're almost like, back of house PDF, kind of very simple. And then you've almost got this very up-to-date app. So I always try and think worst case scenarios, like Johnny blogs, he can't be asked to fill the form in. He just wants to call and speak to someone. And he's the boy with 50 grand. So how do you not lose Johnny blogs?
There's a market for both, isn't there? But I suppose it's just about having a platform so you can whittle down the people, like, because millennials being your target group, the up and comers.
I suppose for you it's volume as well. Like Gary, it's the 20 leads a week, which are the smaller stuff, and it's not that you don't want to do it. It's you want to work out which is the stuff that's got the artwork or which is the stuff that needs the design. So I think both. Maybe you two should have a coffee after about this app.
We put some examples there, with a couple of sort of case studies for vehicle graphics. It's simple, so we put 3 designs there, sort of.
As in, like, how much graphics you actually want.
Yeah, which of these most suits your requirement, and they've all got guide prices next to them, so they can say, to be honest, the first option, the £300 option is what I'm thinking.
You can immediately see how that would mitigate those calls, though. Yeah. Just the PDFs is a great element into showcasing the product. allowing the user to kind of vision how it would then fit in with their requirements.
Yeah. I don't know about you though, both of you, but I feel like anyone who calls is immediately a bit more serious than an email anyway.
Yeah.
Because unless they're calling 10 people or just to speak to a person, I hate it when I call someone and it's like, for option 1, sales, press 1. Do you know what I mean? Like, I say that, someone could try and call me now and it's like, it go to the office and it go through to the answer phone because everyone's busy. But just that, to make that first, just checking you can do what we can do.
Personal question.
And then your systems then send us an email, and then off the back of that email, you send them a link to the app, you send them a link to the back of house website. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And all of a sudden, it's very personable. So I feel like,
I think you have to cover all bases, don't you? You have to be able to,
which is hard because
it's a client that likes to speak on the phone.
Yeah.
Deal with a millennial who doesn't want to speak to anybody, and in amongst all that, try and get rid of the waste, and keep the gold sort of thing.
I personally, as much as I just talk about automation and systems, I do prefer just to pick up the phone. If we're going back and forth with email, I lose the value in the email.
I hate email tennis.
And then I'll just pick up the phone, we'll have the conversation. Because off the back of that call, at least then I know where I stand. I know if it's worth pursuing, and I know if we're the right fit.
Do you do that like if you're in the office, like after like the 5th email within like 10 minutes, you just go, "Hi Julie, you all right? Yeah, it's Ollie from Hollywood. We've been emailing each other for 5 minutes. I just thought it'd be easier to call." Because it's usually after the first email, it's like just a sentence or like, "Is this what you want?" And it's like, yeah. So source now. What are you kind of? Do you have like a goal of where you want to be in the next 12 months, 5 years? Like, when do you want to get out? When have you had enough? Or
timescales? Like, there isn't an end to it for me at the moment.
Are you still enjoying it though?
Yeah, still enjoying it. Feeling like it's sort of, I don't know where I want it to be, but it isn't there now. So
we spoke about Tiny Rebel. What's been your favourite job then? Like
that you've done? Is there a different when it comes to favourite for your industry? Is that kind of that's made us a lot of money, or that looks really cool?
I've never been that focused on money, to be honest. So it just comes down to pride of the job. Really, we did a job for Diesel through a third party on Carnaby Street in London. So
nice. Wow.
They had a male and a female store, 2 separate stores, and it was when Donald Trump was in power, and it was around the sort of wall between America and Mexico. So Diesel had this branding sort of marketing idea: make love, not walls.
Okay,
nice.
And they wanted it all over their shop, sort of thing. So we got a call from our client, and they gave us about 5 days and said, right, we've got these 2 stores.
No way.
We want to completely brand them up. Can you do it? And we did, but it meant, back and forth, M4 every day that week.
Yeah, late nights.
Yeah, clocking up loads of.
Because that's what people don't realise, do they? Like the exciting stuff, you've usually had to work bloody hard for it.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you put an exciting project on Instagram, it's probably like us, you think, it's almost, you put it on and you're like, no one will ever understand the hours and what that took. Yes, it looks great, but the exciting ones always take the work, I feel.
Yeah, and the end result of that was stunning, to be fair. It was probably our nicest looking project. And we had to work through the night on that because of where it was. So the morning that we'd finished, there were a couple of sort of senior execs from Diesel there, eyeing up our work, mega complimentary, shaking everybody's hands.
Could you brand in source?
No, we were white labelled at the time, but the company we worked for have gone bust, so
that's good.
I'm happy to speak about it now and use the pictures and stuff. So, so this guy, there was a guy there from Diesel, and he was blown away by it, and he was like, "Oh, it's such a shame to pull it all down." I was like, "Yeah, it is." I said, "We've done all the hard work now." I said, and you've paid us a whack of money to do this hard work. Going forward, it'd be much cheaper for you. We can sort of recover this. It'll look completely different for a fraction of the cost. And
to keep an ongoing like retainer almost.
And they went for it. So we went back on 2 more occasions. It was sort of a quarterly thing where they refreshed the design.
But it was it would never cross their mind that they could reuse it. They'd probably costed to pay you to rip it out, though.
Yeah. So there was a lot of de-stall to be done when it did come down, a lot of fixing and finishing and that of.
But you came up with a solution for them for a fraction for what they were going to pay to do it again. They could do it 4 times throughout the year. Love that.
Yeah. So that worked well. It was just a nice project. Looked good.
Yeah.
So.
Big brand.
Yeah.
One to showcase.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I think that was earlier on. That was probably about 6 years ago now, and I think getting that under our belt helped then with credibility, and attracting other bigger companies when they looked on our website and saw that project.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of your queries through the website then, would you say? Like, how do people find you? Word of mouth?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the guests that we've had on so far would like to talk about social media and what it's done for them.
LinkedIn has been very good for me, to be honest. What we do is very visual.
Yeah.
Posting photos of nice looking stuff.
Same as us. It's
help.
pictures, isn't it?
Yeah.
People respond to pictures.
People love the aesthetics, the visuals.
Yeah, that's it. If you're a financial advisor, it's difficult to show what you do in a picture, but for us it's easy and it works and we get good engagement from that.
Have you ever used TikTok?
Not yet. It is on my list of things to master. But
Definitely look into it. We had Zoe from Trigwell Cosmetics on, and her brand's just blown up like explosively, all because of TikTok. Really,
She was very transparent in saying, in a nutshell, TikTok has been the successor to the business in the takeoff and the boom that she's experienced. And we started that conversation as 13-year-old girls doing dances on TikTok, and actually no, you can really niche it down to your own industry.
Right.
And TikTok are actually almost doing what Amazon's doing, so you can send product to TikTok now.
Yeah.
Not that it's applicable to our businesses, but like, and I just think that's
For fulfillment, it's another level.
There's a sign company that I know of that have utilised TikTok really well, and they've had a couple of million views on one of their videos.
What sort of content do they do? I'm curious.
because I think
like
that,
showcasing.
Yeah.
Not so much. It's more the.
Do you know what I feel like?
Is
The
it
status ADSM is it?
AMSR.
You got to be BDSM, is it? I like how Gary left us to say that.
another
Like,
niche.
that's for another episode.
Yeah,
So, and it's almost like the satisfying stuff, is it?
It is. That's what it is.
It's
So-
people producing the artwork,
Yeah, like the kids watch it.
printing, and
Yeah, so with basic vinyl graphics, you'll load the machine with a roll of red vinyl.
Yeah.
You cut the words, and it's the peeling of the waste material
That people
leaving
like to
the
see.
letters.
That's all my kids watch on YouTube or whatever, like videos of slime and like people pouring stuff into pots to
Yeah,
sound
it's
nice.
crazy.
And that's massive.
I knew there was a game changer with TikTok when I started seeing some Essex guy going around and he was cleaning people's pools, and it was like the most viewed thing on TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, is that the pool guy?
The pool guy.
I watched
So
him.
if he can make that work, anyone has got.
And the
to start
funny
with
thing is,
TikTok.
you don't have a clue what he's like. Oh yeah, gonna put some E45 in here, some chlorine. Do you know what I mean? And it's just
chlorine granules.
talking over cleaning a pool, like, but it just blew up.
Got the
Is it
Hoover
like
out.
sort of? It's like the new through the keyhole. Is it just people like seeing
I think
how
it's-
other people live and
Yeah,
look
it's
at
behind
it?
the scenes.
It's like Gogglebox effect.
Yeah, I definitely reckon. Well, it's one of them things that you could do a video and it just blew up, especially because the production kind of, like you said, just peeling vinyl back and
It's such a strange time. I remember like years back when people were watching streamers, like gamers online playing the games. I'm like, why wouldn't you just play the game?
Yeah.
but that's
And then-
even bigger now.
And then kids are now literally that's now a sport. And now kids are watching people play with toys online.
Yeah.
And then one of the biggest YouTubers is
Is it Ryan's
World or something?
Ryan's World?
Some
Yeah.
like 10-year-old.
He has his own toy. So he used to, his parents, I don't know whether they forced him, was like, you're going to talk about this online. But he reviewed toys and now he's got his own toys, man.
He's got his
And it's
YouTube channel,
just-
monetized, toy range.
But then the weird thing is, like, my kids will watch that and I just think, like, what the fuck's going on? Do you know what I
Play with
mean?
a toy.
You're not even, you're watching him play with a toy. Like, play with your own toys. You got loads of toys.
I said to my daughter, there was like this awakening moment when I think she must have been about 6 at the time. And I was like, FYI, Ryan's parents get paid for him to play with toys. Like, he's not doing this through choice imaging. And she's like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I was like,
That's
the
their
sad
career.
reality is, behind the scenes, they're making him play with those toys on camera.
Yeah. And cut there, Ryan. Thank you. That's great. Cheers. And now we've got the learning blocks. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it, how it goes? So we got a couple of questions for you. Craig?
Yeah, so my question, and it's the same questions that we ask for everybody, but mine in particular is, with everything that you've learned, obviously there's been a few career changes, but with your own business specifically, if there was one piece of advice you could give to a new up-and-coming business owner, what would it be?
Get better at saying no, I think. I think that's my sort of...
Learn to say no.
Yeah, learn to say no and say no fast, I think, as well, because I've been guilty of dragging things out longer, you know.
Yeah.
And
Do you feel like it's just a
ultimately-
hard thing, no? Like,
Yeah.
starting your business, like, I couldn't say no to.
Do you know, I
Most
actually
things.
would take that feedback on board for myself because there are so many times where I go, in my head I'm thinking, no, I shouldn't commit to this.
Yeah.
But I don't. We all say like being a people pleaser, and I would never like to let somebody down. But there are times where I need to do it for my own sanity, for them to then get full repercussion back.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'm just going to do more bad than good.
Yeah.
I'll give you a good example. I did a job, and my clients are going to know exactly who they are when I say this.
Hello, Craig's clients.
Yeah. Where one of my first clients was, I won't go too in detail, but it was a cheap job, and I was doing it because it was one of my first clients, and I've always retained that amount of money for shooting that job, and the expectation was always kind of like, I'll edit the photos when I get a minute. But as we know, as things have grown, me getting a minute becomes less and less and less. But I'm still expected to deliver on the same expectations as day one.
I'm funny though, aren't I? Like I get Craig on the job to take nice photos, and like 10 minutes later I'll be back in the office about how the photos looking. Mate. Yeah. I'm like the worst person. I'm so impatient, but yeah.
It was all about you.
Thank you.
that example was actually you.
Cheers.
The saying no thing, I think, is linked to the pricing thing as well, which I also struggle with. I struggle with giving people prices that I sort of deem to be high, and would I pay that for that? And
everything sounds so expensive. Yeah, that's the problem.
I struggle to give people prices.
And you look at the news, and then you start thinking, actually, should I cut back on these costs?
Then you can only cut back so much. Like
then you're hurting yourself, and then you lose the passion for the project.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're working to the same margin, just things cost more.
We've ended up doing shit jobs for no money.
Yeah.
So I'm not winning either way.
You're better off not going to work. Don't turn the lights on.
When I work with new businesses now, one of my selling points is because I am so business focused that when I go to do photo and video, we'll talk about the business and I can help you in those elements as well. I won't just sell someone photos. We'll talk about the strategy about how they can use those photos, etc.
And you know how to market them ultimately.
Absolutely. But one of the conversations I had recently is a new up and coming masseuse in the area. And she was like, I'm going to charge this as an introductory price. I was like, why? I was like, if this is what you're worth, like cost it and take full fulfillment in doing that now. Otherwise, you're just going to hurt yourself in the long run.
Yeah. The thing with offers as well, like if someone pays something and then it goes up, but you're still getting the same thing, you almost think, nah, it's not worth it.
You need to overcome that barrier of asking people for money and the right money.
Yeah.
And if you can do that early, then you'll be a lot better off in the long run.
Yeah.
100%.
And the customers that you don't necessarily want to work with,
yeah, you
give
can
them a higher price.
Absolutely.
If they do go for it, at least you can tell yourself that
because as soon as you sign that deal, you're only going to hurt yourself.
And if they're a ball ache, like it doesn't matter if you priced it a bit higher because that extra couple hundred quid covers the extra 3 times you're going to have to go back and forth, confirming things, change of mind.
And you never want to be known as being cheap, do you?
No.
You'd just be a busy fool then. And
it was a learning point for me in the photography industry, especially with the weddings market. I shoot weddings as well for awareness. And actually there's such a saturation of wedding photographers who sit in this bubble, all charging, let's say, £1,000 for a wedding. But actually in the top tier where you charge £2,000, there's only like 5 people in the area. So then
it's not competitive.
You're not in this massive bubble of saturation. You're in your own little niche. So for me, that made business easier, and I was being rewarded for it 10 times over.
But you say what you offer for that. It's almost like your pricing strategy for the vans, isn't it? It's like for £1,000, you can have almost like a full half wrap, but for £2,000, you can have a full custom printed wrap. We'll use the better material.
Yeah.
It's all kind of, you get what you pay for.
I heard a great sort of example of that on a podcast that I was listening to a couple of weeks ago. And the guy was saying that he was interested in working with a personal trainer. This guy had just started out. He was charging 50 quid an hour for personal training. He said, great, I'll book you in. Can we do Monday at 6 o'clock? Oh, I can't, I'm sorry, I'm busy. Okay, no worries. Can we do Wednesday at 6 o'clock? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm really busy. He said, you got too much work on. He said, I have. He said, I'm absolutely stacked out. And the guy said, well, you need to double your prices. And he said, can't do that. If I double my prices, I'd lose half my customers. Like, well, there you go. You're still making the same money.
Yeah, you're already losing
half your time customers back. So
busy fool,
isn't it? Yeah.
Busy fool. So my question: you got £1,000 cash if you want, or bank transfer. You've got all the knowledge of current day, but it's your first day in business. What do you do?
Join BNI.
Yeah.
Join BNI.
That's what I'd spend my £1,000.
Really? That's how much it costs. Bloody hell, BNI is expensive.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of business from BNI?
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, BNI is a networking event. You go on a free pass, if you like. You go around the room and you give a business update. You do a bit of a presentation. You probably explain better than I can.
Yeah. So
you obviously value it. I didn't think you were going to say BNI.
I joined BNI for a previous employer. That employer went bust. everybody in that room encouraged me to start up on my own. I already had some things going in the sort of background, and they were like, right, this is the time, get going. One of the members gave me a workshop to work from.
Bloody
All
hell.
the members sort of really worked hard to try and
So
get me some work.
You almost had the BNI community when you were starting, so that's why.
And at that point, I was 25, 2 kids, house, car on finance, wife didn't work.
Scary time.
No money in the bank. You know.
But you had all these people rooting for you almost.
Yeah, I
What
literally-
BNI are you part of?
Now I'm part of Reliance, BNI Reliance in Cardiff.
Okay. Where do you meet?
We meet in the Pantmower Inn, just by Whitchurch Golf Club.
Okay, I know.
So I think it's the most profitable BNI chapter in South Wales.
Wow,
3 million we've just hit in
That's
a year.
insane.
So, but yeah, I think it's got its place.
Maybe if it's not even BNI, it's just you're basically saying that if you had money, then basically what happened for your story is that network almost like give you that step up and encouraged you and
gave you a platform.
so you were
It was the
surrounded by
support.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, the support network that came with it, you know,
Yeah.
the financial sort of benefit that came from it. I think it's great for startup businesses. I don't know if you get to a point where it's not so applicable. I'm still a member now, and sometimes I find the work that I get from there is not the work that I want.
You almost need to send them your PDF.
Yeah, and that's my own issue in not saying no.
It's not that they're not giving you work. It's actually it's like I really appreciate it, but
it's my
I'm working on
for not sort of when I give my sort of speech, you know, I'm not being more sort of detailed about the type of client that I want. So I'm still getting the stuff that I don't want, but yeah, it has been mega beneficial.
it shows the value of a network. My black book is the key to my business, as I'm sure it's the same for all of us. But Gary, thanks for your time, mate. It's been really interesting kind of chatting about your story and
thanks both.
how you made
That was really
Debenhams and House of Fraser go under.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? We'll put your details below anyway, but kind of you're all over social media.
Yeah,
If anyone's looking for
LinkedIn.
anything you do.
LinkedIn is probably the place where I spend most time.
Yeah.
Just Gary Bagstaff, Source on Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah. That's
And if
it.
anyone wants anything doing, look forward to receiving
Gary's
Gary's
your
new PDF.
We should also mention our new signage.
Yeah.
Has come courtesy of Gary. So
Cheers.
thank you so much for bringing this.
Cheers,
worries,
Gary.
it's
We,
all right,
we only said on our last episode that we shot together how we can grow this further. And
That's
then
it. We need to calm down with that though, but it's every week everyone will be expecting a new plant or something in the room. Do you know
we'll
what I mean?
think of something.
It'll be
We'll
like a
keep it
jungle.
going.
Gary, cheers for your time.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
mate.
no,
Really
Thanks for
appreciate that.
watching. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe.
See you next week.
We'll see you very soon.
Take care. Bye
That's
for now.
close of play. Bye bye. The air can come out the cushions.
Cool.
Cheers, mate.
No worries, yeah.